as we explained, and this has to be reviewed and understood and grasped properly, there's a principle which is a biblical principle, a Torah principle, that if one is put in a position where he's forced to do something, even to commit murder, to do the wrong, to steal, the action is not attributed to the person himself. The human being, therefore, must always be in a position to allow himself to be the beneficiary of his action and his behavior, or be culpable and liable for his action and his behavior, to always be in a position that everything is determined by himself in terms of choice. Because if he's ever compelled to do anything, being compelled means the action is not attributed to the person, but rather to the one who compels him to do whatever that may be. It's interesting to note, we read at this time of the year the bondage of the Jewish people in Egypt and how they were a free people, were enslaved against their will, and they proliferated to become a nation. Millions of people evolved in a state of slavery. The monarch of this nation, the masters were the Egyptians. Pharaoh was the king of Egypt. And he dictated and directed the bondage and all aspects of the bondage. He gave the decree that all male children must be thrown into the Nile and drowned. And his word was law. The Jews were meant to leave Egypt because of a promise that God had given and had made to the founding father of the Jewish people, Abraham, our patriarch, that after so many years, the Jewish people will leave Egypt and they will be in bondage and afflicted for 400 years. And after the 400th year, at the end of that time, they will leave with great wealth. But God says, I will judge that people who enslaved my innocent people, my innocent nation, will be judged for what they had done. We read in the 210th year of the bondage, Moshe, the Redeemer of Israel, was sent by God to tell Pharaoh, as an agent of God, he must free the Jewish people. The famous phrase, let my people go. Pharaoh didn't want to hear about this. He said, who is God who I should heed his command? And he held fast, would not. And then we begin reading about the plagues, the 10 plagues, which God brought upon Egypt. During the first 5 plagues, the Torah expresses itself by saying, Pharaoh did not heed the plague. As painful, as destructive as the plague was, Pharaoh refused to be humbled from the sixth plague going forward, which as the plagues continued, they intensified, the Torah tells us, God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. The only reason why he did not heed the word of God was because God hardened his heart. He withdrew his power of choice. But if he withdrew his power of choice, why is he held culpable and liable for his refusal to send out the Jews? He had no choice. Based on what we're explaining, the only reason why man is liable and culpable for his action, because the action only comes about due to his decision to activate and actualize that particular action, good or bad. But if Pharaoh no longer had the choice to activate and actualize that decision because God took away his power of choice, why is he culpable for the choice? And he is culpable. He will be judged. As God said to Abraham, I will judge them for what they have done to my people. I will judge them for refusing to send them out when I said they should be sent out. So Maimonides writes that although his choice was taken from him, was withdrawn from him, he still held fully culpable. Why? Because choice is a privilege. If one abuses the privilege of choice, God withdraws that privilege. The person no longer has the ability, the privilege to choose, to be in a position to choose right. He's no longer within this balance of position, this equidistant location where he could choose to go in either way. But why does he not have choice? Because he chose to abuse the privilege of choice. So factually, he has no choice because he chose to forfeit the choice. So because it was his choice to forfeit the choice, the privilege of choice, now that he does evil and perpetrates evil, he put himself in that position to be that being who's a perpetrator of evil. Therefore, he's fully liable and culpable for his actions and all its ramifications. Therefore, although the last 5 plagues, Pharaoh had no choice to process them within the context of evaluation, nevertheless, he's held fully liable for his decision.